The Stadium by the River, the story of John O'Donnell Stadium. For generations in the Quad Cities, almost directly underneath the Centennial Bridge, one of the region's most beloved landmarks took shape, a place where summer nights, cheering crowds, football, baseball, and music all came together. John O'Donnell Stadium. But that wasn't always its name. When the ballpark first opened in 1931, right in the heart of the Great Depression, it was simply called Municipal Stadium. It was the city's stadium, built by and for the people of Davenport as part of a larger vision to create a civic gathering place along the riverfront. Even in hard times, city leaders believed people needed somewhere to gather, a place for sports, a place for entertainment, a place where the community could escape for a few hours. Davenport teams had been playing at the Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, which didn't have lights. The city realized a modern lighted stadium downtown along the riverfront would be ideal. Proposed by the Davenport Levee Commission, Municipal Stadium opened on May 26, 1931, inside LeClaire Park at a cost of $185,000. Municipal Stadium quickly became a centerpiece of Davenport life. It was simple, sturdy, and welcoming. Workers could walk from nearby factories. Families could stroll down from surrounding neighborhoods. Baseball was the main attraction from the beginning. The Davenport Blue Sox were among the first teams to call Municipal Stadium home, playing in the 3I League against nearby rivals, including the Rock Island Islanders. These games brought out large crowds. Rivalries were intense. Local pride ran deep. Summer evenings filled the stands. And almost right away, the stadium became part of baseball history. On June 4, 1931, the Davenport Blue Sox hosted the Rock Island Islanders for the first ever night game at Municipal Stadium, 1,450 days before the first Major League night game at Crossley Field in 1935. At the time, night baseball was still a new idea. For years, games were played during the day. But in smaller cities like Davenport, experimentation came earlier. Lights were installed, the switch was flipped, and suddenly baseball could be played after dark. The impact was immediate. Factory workers who couldn't attend afternoon games could now come after their shifts. Families could go together in the evening. The stadium under the lights created an entirely new experience. The glow over the field, the hum of the crowd, and the cool river air made night games feel special. Long before Major League Baseball embraced the idea, the Quad Cities were already part of the movement that made night baseball the future. In 1936, the ballpark hosted one of its most remarkable early events. On October 1st, an exhibition game featuring Major League players and Negro National League All-Stars came to Davenport. The field was shared by some of the biggest names in the sport, including Baseball Hall of Famers Satchel Paige, Cool Papa Bell, Rogers Hornsby, and Johnny Mize. For a riverfront stadium in a Midwestern city, it was an unforgettable moment and a sign that Davenport had built something special. Expansions in the 1940s increased seating capacity to around 6,200. Another expansion in 1962 pushed that number to about 8,500, allowing even larger crowds for games, football, and concerts. The stadium continued to grow alongside the community. But the stadium was never just about baseball. From the beginning, Municipal Stadium was built as a multi-purpose facility. Football teams used the field regularly. Local high schools played big rivalry games there. College teams and semi-pro teams, including St. Ambrose and the Rock Island Mohawks, took the field for matchups. On fall nights, the same grandstand that held baseball fans in the summer filled again with marching bands, school colors, and the sounds of football. The grass would be lined for a different sport. The weather would be colder, but the sense of community was exactly the same. And then there were the concerts. For decades, John O'Donnell Stadium was one of the largest outdoor concert venues in the region. Before modern arenas and riverfront stages became common, this was where the big shows came. Thousands of people packed the stands and the field to see touring acts under the open sky along the Mississippi. Over the years, an incredible list of artists performed there. Johnny Cash, the Beach Boys, Johnny Winter, Bryan Adams, Def Leppard, REO Speedwagon, Blue Oyster Cult, and Eddie Money all took the stage along the river. Johnny Cash played at the stadium twice in 1974 and 1976, drawing crowds of more than 10,000 each time, and he performed for free. On those nights, the stadium transformed. The diamond disappeared beneath a stage. Amplifiers replaced the pitcher's mound. People filled every seat and crowded the field. You could hear the music echoing off the river. For many in the Quad Cities, their first concert happened right there, sitting in the same place where they'd watched ball games as kids. For 40 years, it remained Municipal Stadium, the people's ballpark along the river. But by the late 1960s and early 1970s, the city began to think about how to honor one of the men who had spent his life chronicling everything that happened there. In 1971, Davenport officially renamed Municipal Stadium to John O'Donnell Stadium. John O'Donnell was the longtime sports editor for the Davenport Democrat and Leader, and later the Davenport Times-Democrat. For decades, he was one of the most respected and recognizable voices in Quad City sports journalism. If there was a game in the region, he was there. High school football on a Friday night, minor league baseball in the summer, boxing matches, community sporting events. He covered them all. He told the stories behind the games. He wrote about the athletes, the rivalries, the crowds, and the spirit of local competition. He helped connect the community to its teams. Generations of fans woke up, opened the morning paper, and relived the night before through his words. He championed local sports. He believed they mattered. And for years, Municipal Stadium was one of the places he covered most closely, writing about the Blue Sox, the night games, the crowds, the teams that came and went, and the players who passed through on their way to the majors. By the time he retired, he had spent decades documenting the sports life of the Quad Cities. When he passed away, the city chose to honor that lifetime of dedication in a lasting way. In 1971, Municipal Stadium became John O'Donnell Stadium, a tribute to the man who had spent so many years telling the stories that unfolded there. By then, the ballpark had already seen thousands of games and countless moments. Team after team called it home. The Davenport Blue Sox played in the early years. Later came the Dav Sox, the Quad City Braves, the Angels, the Cubs, and eventually the River Bandits. Each generation had its team. Each era had its own heroes. Many future stars passed through Davenport on their way to the majors. Lou Brock, Reggie Jackson, and Ryne Sandberg all played on that field before becoming household names. At the time, they were just young ball players, but for fans in the stands, those memories lasted a lifetime. In the decades that followed, the stadium continued to evolve. A major renovation before the 1989 season reduced capacity to around 5,200, and another renovation before the 2004 season modernized the ballpark to meet contemporary professional standards, bringing seating to just over 4,000. Through all of it, the setting never changed. The Mississippi just beyond the outfield, the Centennial Bridge set against the western sky, home run balls to right field sometimes splashing into the river. Today, the ballpark is known as Modern Woodman Park. It remains home to the Quad Cities River Bandits, a Midwest League affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. Since 1987, St. Ambrose University has also played select doubleheaders there, continuing the tradition of the field serving multiple levels of the game. One of the most remarkable things about the stadium is how constant it has been. Built during the Depression, it survived wars, economic change, and shifting entertainment trends. Through it all, people kept coming. It became one of the oldest ballparks still in use in all of minor league baseball. And for many in the Quad Cities, the name John O'Donnell Stadium still feels right, even as times and names have changed. It's where grandparents once sat as kids. It's where future major leaguers got their start. It's where Friday night football echoed under the lights. It's where Hall of Famers once took the field. It's where Johnny Cash and the Beach Boys played to riverfront crowds. A place built during one of the hardest times in American history that became one of the Quad Cities' most enduring landmarks. A stadium by the river, and a gathering place that for generations brought the entire community together along the Mississippi